Ninja! Ninja! Ninja!
Buy things from.
Whoa, what the hell's going on?
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. Joe has a long mustache. Dad, a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Buy things from gearwebsites.com.
What the hell is wrong with this phone? All right. Welcome, everybody, to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day at midnight Eastern. That's 9 Pacific for about an hour each night. We'll do 3 gun-related topics each day. We do different topics throughout the week. We create those topics here on Mondays, so you're here on a good day and be part of the creation of the show. We run it live on YouTube. We simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the comments from everybody that watches the show live. We appreciate those that do that. Thanks for being here. We'll broadcast, or we'll save the show over on YouTube. We'll take the best of and post it over on iTunes as a podcast. We appreciate everybody who listens to the show later that leaves us comments, subscribes to the channels, gives us the thumbs up, so the likes, all those interactions let us know that you're out there, but they also help our show to be recommended to more people, and that's one of our goals. So we really do appreciate the people that do that. That's why we talk about it at the beginning of the show every single day. We got hosts. Bob's jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Got Jimmy in Phoenix. Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks.
I'm down here in Tucson, and we got all of you out there wherever you're at. So we haven't done this in a while. Why don't you, in the chats out there, since we are trying to make this an interactive type of format, throw out there if you feel like it, what part of the country you're in, so people who are out there with you know where they're chatting with you. Where are the other people they're chatting with? I just took off my glasses to clean them off here. So what are we doing? This is episode 501, right? We just got episode 500 under the books.
Isn't that some kind of clothing line?
Yeah, Levi or something like that.
Oh, 501 jeans. Nice. So Monday, so we'll be talking about topics for the show going forward. We'll be talking about setting up a podcast. So I just saw Clover over on the YouTube side. I don't know why he's on the YouTube side instead of the better Gun Channel side. But if you're awake and you want to jump in, use your expertise talking about setting up a podcast. Anybody else who's out there doing podcasting and would like to jump in, feel free. We can bring a couple of people in because we like to, on Mondays, talk about behind the scenes. And again, today we're talking about setting up a podcast. Then we'll talk about the events, and today I'll hijack that because during the van chat yesterday, I think we came up with a pretty decent blueprint for the 2018 Gun Show Loophole Tour, at least the first leg. They'll take us out for 60 days on the road. Did you even hear about this yet, Jimmy? 60 days on the road, another 8,000 miles.
Dang, no, I didn't.
You jumping in the van with me? You going with?
That's Tulsa? Yeah, I'm planning on it so far. I was just actually talking to Cycle about it. Yeah, planning on it.
So you're going to go with me to starting in May, going to Big Sandy, or March 20th, going to Big Sandy, then California, then Tulsa, and then after Tulsa, Cody, Wyoming, and then Washington and Seattle, and then the NRA show in Dallas, and then back to Tucson or Arizona.
Not
just said a lot.
Stay together.
Said a lot of words.
60 days. 60 days. You said you were in, so
said a lot of words right there.
Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit today, and then of course we always have our gun shop of the day, gun of the day, all the other stuff we talk about on a daily basis. But it is episode 501. That means it was a weekend because the way our numbering system works, and we might want to talk about what happened over the weekend. Besides the awesome van chat, there was the gear chat that nobody showed up to, except for me and Cycle, John. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, see you in the morning. See you in the morning for that tool chat. See you for the gear chat."
Morning? No wonder I wasn't there.
Yeah. Anyhow, anything else going on over the weekend worth talking about?
Nah, I got nothing really.
Matt's chat was about some kind of heavy metal band, long-haired bands or something. So I just got that for half a second.
I didn't even get a link because they didn't want to hear about the Grateful Dead, I guess.
Yeah, well, Metallica and Queen, right?
That's who won it, Metallica and Queen.
Yeah, no mention of Alice Cooper that I heard. I only listened for minutes. So. Yeah, it was a terrible pre-show though. We got to talk to Matt. He's not doing the good pre-shows we told him to.
No, well, Clover does a pre-show. He does an earlier show to get warmed up.
That's right. Clover did our pre-show. I didn't catch his though.
Yeah, I've got a Monday show now. Over the weekend, one thing that pops out that's a pretty huge deal is the Gun Girls chat on Sunday. It was an all-woman panel.
I never even heard about it.
Which I think is going to be nice. I think that
no one's saying that was by design, Bob. It was just coincidence that no one told you about it and you didn't know about it.
Yeah, right. Well, you're not a girl, Bob. You weren't invited, so no, that ain't it. But
I didn't even go to listen to it. I wanted to listen. I like those girls' chats. Those are
I think it might work out pretty well because I mean, when you first of all, that's unique. I don't know that there's another show on all of the YouTubes or anywhere else that is, an all female panel, which was pretty cool.
We used to have one. That's
something that hopefully they'll explore because there's definitely been ones and there are ones out there. So yeah, thing is just like that's like saying, oh, there's a guy's chat room with guns. They must all like each other and want to hang out together. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
But there are definitely others out there. Thing is, some of them are very writer oriented. Women in Outdoor Media is one of the big organizations. They're real cliquey. We can talk off air or something about that, but
right.
So it's just like anything. As they start to create their own presence, though, that's what's cool. Sure. And I've always been an advocate for that because just because there's something else out there doesn't mean that's got to be a blueprint for anything else or got to be the only option. Right.
Well, I mean, it's clicky with the guys too. So I mean, that's just the nature. That's just the nature of the beast. And but what I thought about is, we've been reaching out to other female creators and stuff like that, and having an actual show that's an all-girl show, an all-girl panel, may be a little less intimidating to invite them into than actually on one of our shows, one of the guy shows. So, but I think they did a really good job.
Plus, we don't let girls on our show; they're icky.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, we don't abide cooties over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We try to keep cootie free. We already got stuff when we were not show because all the girls are.
I like that.
All right. So
I want to amend that. I like women. Okay.
We're moving along. So that was the beginning of the show. We are going to be talking about, or on Mondays, we like to talk about the topics we have for the week. So on Tuesdays, we do our Second Amendment stuff. We'll be talking about Second Amendment issues. We have an open segment of the show where we leave open so we can bring somebody on to an interview or have them as a guest. So if you know anybody that would be good to have on, let us know. Then we've got the State of the State. I think it'll be our last state in the Gun Show Loophole Tour from 2017, and that'll be Colorado. So we're going to be looking for new states to feature. And again, if you want to come on and give a sit rep on your state, situation report of the gun laws in your state, well, you're welcome to. Just kind of arrange it with us. You can email us, dailygunshow@gmail.com, or always use the live comments as we're chatting along here. Wednesdays is our entertainment day, so we'll be talking about that and the good idea, bad idea, where we fight it out and figure out who's right or wrong on gun issues. And then we do our hashtag Daily Gun Show Showdown. So on Wednesdays, anybody that's using the Instagram can use the hashtag Daily Gun Show, and then we'll judge your pictures. And then like that there. Anybody want to read that? No. Thursdays is our CCW day and training. So we'll be talking about those kind of topics. It's also our general gun stuff topic on Thursdays. And then Friday is gun tech and the gun biz. And that's where we solve all the problems for the gun business, keep it profitable for everybody and interesting because we talk about alternative gun topics. So we happen to be full up for the next week or so. But if any of those topics rings a bell, something you'd like us to talk about, or you think it'd be neat to hear our spin on it or have the conversation with the audience, then like I say, email us, dailygunshow@gmail.com.
All right. So on that point, what are we? So we're still scheduling. Getting any ideas out there?
I don't know if anybody's saying anything out there. We're getting any ideas yet, but we can move on. That was the just to kind of get Monday going.
I think they're still all talking about the whole concept of a girls' chat, at least on gun channels.
Yeah, so we can talk quickly. We had the first version of it all was Marine, right? He had a Tuesday chat that was fairly popular, I think, and he started to designate, I forgot what it was, like the first Saturday or the first week of the month or something as a girls only chat. And I don't remember how many of those did he have. How many do you remember, Bob? It was less than 5.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. No.
And I think it was like 1 or 2 or maybe 3, and then like sporadically a couple more, and then they just didn't show up. The girls didn't like it so much, I guess. And that was with Marine hosting it, I guess you could say, and then letting the girls do their thing. But I thought it was kind of awkward too, technically, you know. But anyway, then we had the other one was, I don't know, 2 years ago. And there was a panel of girls from Instagram and
Second Amendment.
Yeah, that was very Second Amendment oriented, and that one was awesome. So I don't know what happened. They did that one for a while, maybe 6 or more episodes, I think, altogether. So there's been a couple of iterations of it, but I imagine it's tough. They've talked about, we've heard what the stuff they got to go deal with every time they go out and have everything mansplained. Here, let me mansplain how it is for them on the internet. They have to get mansplained everything to them. So imagine it's annoying just to have to probably deal with a lot of stuff repetitively.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pink Panther, as mentioned, it was called Rock Your Rights. It was a very cool chat. I love the title, too.
Well, it seemed to be, I mean, there was a lot of guys in the, you know, out in the chat. And I mean, it seemed to be I don't know, everybody seemed to be appropriate and supportive and all of that. And I mean, and hopefully it stays that way. Because I can see how, you know, off-color comments, things like that could be made and make them uncomfortable. So hopefully, you know, with mods and everything else, hopefully it stays an on-the-level show.
Well, I would think it's sort of like, imagine if everybody said, oh, you shoot 9mm, you go talk to them guys. Like you could have nothing in common with somebody else who shoots 9mm, you know what I mean? So I think that's probably a dynamic to it too, that just because they're females, who cares? Like some of them might like shooting this or that or the other thing, or not shooting at all, or shooting, you know, real fast or real slow or whatever. So just because they're girls, it doesn't mean necessarily they're always going to have all that much in common. You know, you guys talk about reloading, and I could tune out to most of that stuff. You know, I'm aware of reloading, but I could hardly care about the fine details of some rifle caliber I don't reload. Right. So anyhow, that's we'll be rebuilding Gun Channel. So if there's any ideas for anybody out there how to build it in ways to make it more efficient for all kinds of conversations out there, I think that's the goal really, is just to give them all the room they want. Like you said, once there's a few of them out there, it won't be such an interesting new thing. I mean, it'd be the same when the kids had theirs. There was a bunch of kids that did one, shooters that were like under 21 or something. And, you know, for a while, everybody was watching that one. And then as soon as they figured out, oh, they're just talking about topics we're not all that interested in, you know, no one watched anymore. And then it was, they could get out and do their own thing. So hopefully the girls will have an opportunity to do that. And then not have the scrutiny of a bunch of dudes watching them, and then they don't have to perform. They can just have their show and do their thing.
Right. Yeah, well, that's usually the way it is around here.
Yeah.
You'll get your core audience, and yeah, then, you know, the other people
kind of
that are interested in what you're talking about.
What your show's about.
But it is something that, you know, the guy who's sitting there and his wife, you know, occasionally listens over his shoulder or whatever, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, there's women doing these things, and next thing you know, she's on her computer. No, I'm listening to the women's chat. Shut up, leave me alone. Make your own sandwich. So, good thing.
Bob.
All right. So I guess with that, we'll move along into the setting up a podcast. We had Clover jump in. But before we do, we like to take a break between the first and second segment of the show each day. Seriously, nobody else? I got to say the whole show?
Yeah, you're going to have to say the whole thing. I've decided. It's just your voice is so melodious. It just...
It soothes the people. But yeah, what you guys were saying though, before we get into the second segment, between that, we like to focus on member over on Gun Channel, somebody that's contributing, and today it is Gun News Network. I guess that's a channel on Gun from a Gun Channel's member. It's Moon's channel. But yeah, that was pretty cool when he started that up. He put up like 20, 30-minute shows, just going over kind of news of the day. I believe there was a couple of shows where he went over like some new products that were coming out. So yeah, it was a pretty cool idea. I don't know if he's going to continue it or what's going on with it, but I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, me too. I like the show, and I also I get a kick out of him. He's my kind of guy.
I'm surprised he has time between that and going to work and then doing the show with Smeggy on Saturdays. So I really give him credit for getting that much content out there.
Well, that Saturday show, that should take a lot out of him. I mean, they put a lot into that, so that's
just the research involved.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would suggest let's take a cue from Clover and the guys who do the blitzes. Now, you're not going to eat a blintz, but instead you're going to use the link in the description of this video to head over to Moon's thing there. And that's the Gun Channel's link, but I imagine you can get his YouTube link if you know what you're doing. And I guess we can go help you find that. But head over there and subscribe, right? That's the whole point of this whole thing, is to get people's motivation going. He comes over there and sees literally thousands of new subscribers over there. And that gives him encouragement to go out and make another video tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. Here we go. So what is he at? 163 subscribers. Let's see how many subscribers we can get him this evening. I'm assuming thousands.
That's all he's got. 163. Sure. Shit.
Yeah, he's basically hiding over there on the YouTubes. So let's see if that link worked. YouTube likes to break links. Oh no, it worked.
It does.
So yeah, Gun News Network.
Yeah, it worked for me.
All right on. So setting up a podcast. We set up ours a while ago, but you've set yours up more recently, and you've helped other people even more recently. So in a nutshell, let's try to keep it in 20 minutes or whatever. I think I'm going to just start it out with, it's way easier than you think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's really only a few parts. I mean, you've got to be able to, I guess we're talking about turning your live stream into a podcast. Of course, if you were to record it directly, that would work too. Some people do that. I did that early on. I don't do that anymore. I probably need to start. That's a format, especially if you're doing interviews with people, where they're not live on the internet. It's just recorded through a telephone conversation or something that the interviewee, I guess you would say, tends to be a little more comfortable with. So something to look into. But either way, whether you rip your audio from your live stream that you've already done, or you record it, you have to have that audio file, obviously. And then from there, the next step is you have to have a place to host said audio file.
You got to put it somewhere, because you're not going to email it to everybody that wants to listen to your show.
Right, exactly. You have to have a place in a similar fashion, a place the way YouTube houses your video, I guess. I use Podbean. There's a bunch of other ones out there that you can use. I just found Podbean for the unlimited options and whatnot to be a little more price friendly. And then from there, you upload it to there, and then fix all of your data, your titles, your categories, your cover art, all of your other stuff, and then you can. From there, it will give you what they call an RSS link, and once you have your channel set up on your hosting service, the place that is storing your podcast, then you will have access to an RSS link, which you can then go to other places like iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and the like. And you basically just you can create a free account there and drop that RSS link into that free account, and then whenever you upload a podcast to your hosting service, then it will basically replicate that across all platforms. So no matter what podcasting service somebody uses, they can all get to your content. So that's the basics in a nutshell. I mean, we can go a little bit deeper into each step if we need to, but
no, I'd rather keep it like that, because really the goal here is just to get people who heard the concept before, heard the thought, the talk, heard us talk about it.
And we did talk about it. We did talk about it several weeks or maybe a month ago now on an after hours chat. So you can always check out my channel on that and watch.
And that was a lot closer to like a step by step.
It was very detailed. Yes, we got very detailed with that. So if you need,
the concept though is that you're going to take your audio file, either your the audio from a live stream like this, which is very easy to deal with, or just like he's saying, like just set up a microphone and record it from a phone call or an in-person interview with just your phone. I've done that before. Anyway, you take your audio file, you put it somewhere so that it can be found. You get that feed, that RSS link that he's talking about, and then you can use that to distribute it to all these places where people might be. So I like to think of it as giving you access to new platforms. So iTunes, everyone's heard of iTunes. That's significant when you're branding your whatever your project is or your channel, and you can put that iTunes link on there. That's something that people have seen before. So even if they don't necessarily use iTunes, it's giving you that prestige or that credential. Stitcher, though, is sort of like iTunes for Android phones or people that are using computers at work or something where they have internet, but they don't have a radio. So they'll sometimes listen to music that way or podcasts. The other one, SoundCloud, is another like distribution platform, but it's also, I would encourage you to think of them as social media platforms. So while you might do your podcast on YouTube or something, don't consider yourself restricted to this audience on YouTube. It's a big audience and everything, and it's great to be searchable over here, but plenty of people don't like YouTube and don't use it, and they, for whatever reasons, use those other platforms. And that's what going through this effort or this extra steps to create this podcast are giving you access to. So, I guess what I'm trying to say in this one, in this segment, is to consider going through these efforts, because they'll then have access to these new platforms, and you are going to have comments that are going to show up on those and ratings. So you'll be able to develop conversations on these other platforms, and you might discover audiences that you never knew were out there. And once you start getting feedback from new audiences, that can develop your content and make your content more unique for your listeners.
Right. And another aspect too that we didn't touch on that's important is that podcasts work differently than the YouTubes than you're used to here, in that when you upload that podcast and then you distribute it, those people can go in while they have an internet connection, be it Wi-Fi or cellular or whatever, and they can download that podcast to their device and then listen to it later without any internet connection at all. So if you've got somebody that, let's say, works in a factory or works in some place where they can listen to something, but yet it's a steel building, a metal building, and they don't have any type of service, well, they could download your podcast or a couple of those in the morning, take them to work, and listen to them. So it gives people the option to listen to them at their leisure.
You're going to get an audience that consumes it in a completely different way. So now you've got this, and there's plenty of people that have these jobs or these commutes or whatever it is, that's how they consume their content online. So that's why, as we've played around with it, we've discovered that opportunity too. So We've talked about it theoretically, and it might just seem like another step, like a Twitter or a Facebook, but I really think it's a bigger opportunity. Well, it's at least as big an opportunity as a Facebook. I don't know how much reach a Twitter really helps with most people, but I don't want to just keep talking about podcasts or leave it sit that podcasts are just like another Twitter or another Facebook, because there's potentially a lot deeper audience out there that you're just never going to find if you don't interact with them, through their platforms, I guess. And that's where we got some valuable info. When we first started doing the podcast, without getting too technical, we weren't compressing the files. So we were sending out raw files, which were 3 or 4 times larger than the comparable ones out there, than other people who took that step of compressing. And it was valuable feedback when we finally did get some from a podcast listener who told us that, and it allowed us to make a quick change to the way we do our thing. And then the podcast was listened to more. So imagine if that was, hey, can you talk about XYZ guns or something that you never thought about to talk about in your show, or a type of reloading or something that you're familiar with and you never thought to talk about. So again, you can tune your topics with that larger audience too. Don't forget, you can do specific campaigns to get people to use those things too, to do demographic info, get people to use those comments out there to find out who's listening and where. And that can add just some new aspects to your content as well.
Right. Well, it adds a whole different dynamic to everything. I mean, from getting the word of your channel and what you're doing out there to, turning around if you do affiliate marketing, if you're talking about specific items or something like that, you've got sections within the description of that podcast that you can drop those. So, you could potentially be, pushing product in a way to a whole different audience as well. I don't know, just adds a whole nother dynamic. We talk about diversifying and branching out a lot, and that's one really good way to get your content in a lot of different places very easily, because again, once you upload to that central hub, to that hosting service, then from there it's just a matter of that that RSS feed and linking that up with the other services. So
yeah, all in all, once you've done the setup work, very, very, very little work, very little extra effort compared to what you're already doing, just setting up a hangout or whatever.
Definitely.
All right, cool. So if we got other questions on that, of course, you can always email us or go to Clover. Like he says, he does a show on Thursdays where we get into the nuts and bolts of doing stuff online. We'll be scheduling more of the Minuteman universities to do short and sweet little 1 hour or less covering a topic in a nutshell and maybe a little bit of depth. And then our goal will be to then readdress some of those topics in a longer show. I guess our idea was to do a 20-minute or half an hour show on a subject and try to do those weekly. And then as needed, as people are interested, we'll go back and readdress some of those short topics in longer hangouts like this, where we can address specific questions people have had while they've tried to work on some of those tasks or some of those things like setting up a podcast or setting up a website. So stay tuned for that. And always on Mondays here, we'll be addressing that stuff too. All right, so we don't see many comments coming on the gun channel side. Everybody's quiet over there. Talk about some kind of guns and stuff over on the YouTube side. So I think for now we'll move along into the event section. And we'll take a break from just looking at the events over on the Gun Channel's calendar. Probably people have been adding some new ones. I've noticed that, which is great. We always encourage people to remember that Gun Channels is a big site with a lot of people using it. Links from Gun Channels to those events that are happening out there can be beneficial. So you're not only letting human beings know about it, but you're helping out those websites too, or those events. So we're heading over to Instagram, and we've got a infographic or whatever you want to call this thing, and we had a van chat last night. It was a pretty good one. Thanks, Bob, for jumping in. And as we were farting around in the van chat, we started to talk about potential routes, kind of putting a calendar and a map together and figuring out where we needed to be when, and we got a trip kind of figured out, kind of happened. So kind of using this as a rough guideline, we'll be heading out ideally in March and hitting the road. We'll go up to the Big Sandy machine gun shoot So we'll be starting out down here in Tucson, heading up to the Big Sandy machine gun shoot. You see my little mouse on there, which is just about halfway to Vegas in Arizona. We've been to that a few times, but I figured if I'm already driving to Big Sandy, it's kind of boring to drive back to Tucson and sit and wait for the Tulsa show, which is in a week or so after. So I figured instead I would make a loop back through California and check out the Ring of Fire factories that I missed. I really want to go to the Rockford Files place in Malibu where he hangs out. And I think there was another surplus store we were going to check out as well. So anyway, check out some of the sites from things we missed on the last tour of Los Angeles. Of course, meet up with our friends in Los Angeles. Got a bunch of people we know there now. And then probably drop down to San Diego just because, and come back across and heading over to Tulsa. So then on the way to Tulsa, we'd ideally head past Dallas, and if we can make everything work, we'll have the Gun Channel's trading cards printed by then, so we can pick those up and then head to Tulsa, where everybody's going to be meeting up, and have the big, giant gun show and everything. Once that's over, I have about a week to get to Cody, Wyoming, or a little bit north of Cody, Wyoming, for a gun show there. And then I have an invite to the Cody, Wyoming, or the museum, the Buffalo Bill Museum in Cody, Wyoming. So I would book from Tulsa up through the west here on this side of the Colorado, or this side of the Rockies, and hang out there in Wyoming for a bit. And then I have an amount of time before NRA. So again, it seems like if I'm driving all the way that far north, might as well continue the tour. So I'm thinking about driving across to Seattle. This will be something like April, middle of April, I think. And people are saying it's probably not a problem with snow or anything crossing the divide there. Then anyway, head over to Seattle. There's some things to look at there. Meet up with some of the friends out there, check out their gun shops, and then kind of mosey back, go through Salt Lake City, check out the Browning Museum again. Hopefully you do some tours. There's quite a few cool things in Salt Lake City. Then mosey on down to Dallas again to the NRA show, and then wind up back in Arizona for a break and get ready for a potential second leg of the tour. So that would hit quite a few events along the way, and it would take us 8,000 miles. We'd hit 13 states, and that would keep us on the road for 60 days. So we'll be looking at what the logistics would be of that for the 2018 Gun Show Loophole Tour. We've talked before. This one's going to be all about the 360-degree tours. So part of this trip planning will be calling some of the gun shops along the route and find out if they'd be okay with us coming in with a 360-degree camera and taking basically a 360-degree snapshot of their gun shop. What do you guys think?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a great tour, actually. When we were talking about it during the van chat, I was like, man, this is, yeah, especially when you look at, you're not pushing too many miles between routes. You're actually not going to have to kill yourself to do it. You're going to be on the road a long time, but I mean, it looks like it's going to be a real good trip.
After we were talking last night, I went through, I have basically a spreadsheet with like the calendar, spreadsheet kind of going down with the different days. And I went through about every 10 days and scheduled a day off too. So Bob and I were looking at it, and there's really not more than 3 or 4 hours a day of driving. So plenty of good moseying time, so I can stop at gun shops and whatnot, get videos, cooking during the trip. And we already talked about the idea of setting up a video to render, or setting up a video to be edited, and then just setting them all up. And then when I get in the vehicle to drive, letting them render, because that's the part that takes forever, right? So let them render while I'm actually driving, and potentially get just twice, 3 times more work done this time around than the last trip. I also scheduled out between now and March 20th, I guess. There's plenty of time, so that lets me do all the little tasks on the van, 3 or 4 days at a time. Every 3 days or so I'm working on the van a little bit, but plenty of time to do all the little tasks and preventive maintenance type of stuff to, like I say, learn from the last trip and make it as useful as possible, or as efficient as possible this time around.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is you want it to be efficient so you get all the work done, but at the same time you don't want to kill yourself. I've always said there's no sense working yourself to death, because then you don't get to enjoy anything about life.
Just in case, I'm not sure what Dead Horse is saying there, but just in case there's any clarification, if a bunch of people try to jump me on the street. All right, I guess I'll leave it at that. You guys missed some epic chats the last couple of nights on gun channels. The night chats have been epic.
They've been crazy.
Let's see. And nobody really said anything on the YouTube side, as usual. Let's see. Keep an eye out for major repairs. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to schedule it all so that that's, hopefully not an issue.
Yeah,
anyway,
there's some kind of cushion there for something happening. Although, mind you, I mean, yeah, I think the van should be good. I think your van should be ready to rock. I mean, I know it's a Chevy and everything, but good, they make newer vehicles are super reliable.
Well, with that, I suppose we might as well move on to one of our daily topics. One of the reasons we started doing this trip or this show on the daily, and one of the reasons we do the gun show Loophole tour is to talk about gun shops. Here's one that was in Ohio. Can you hear that?
Just barely.
But they now have 5 locations.
There you go.
I've been looking on the internet. It looks like this place has been there since 1938. Started out as just a general store, eventually evolved into hunting and shooting and guns. And then by 1978, it was a full-time sporting goods store. It grew, and in 2002, it looks like one of the kids, there's a family business, one of the kids started a second location, and then they went to now 5 locations. Another one in Ohio is 56,000 square feet, has a 24-lane shooting range. Now this one, I don't know the square footage, I don't know if it's quite that big, but it does have a shooting range. And we asked them when we walked in if it was okay to take some pictures and a quick video. And that's why I asked to do videos. Just taking a couple of pictures of the gun racks, you wouldn't have been able to see the whole gun rack for sure. And it wouldn't have given an idea of how impressive this place is, how big it is. I'd say it's every bit. It could go head to head with any big box store. It's every bit a big box store, only it doesn't have multiple locations in multiple states. I imagine living in Ohio, though, this must be a great resource. Again, showing the scale of the amount of outdoor stuff in addition to the gun stuff. This would really be a cool place. It's like everything a Bass Pro has, except in a local. So this is definitely one of the reasons we wanted to do the Gun Show Loophole tour, is to check out places like this that started in 1938, evolved, now has 5 locations, law enforcement division, and it looks like they even do boats and stuff. So if you're familiar with Vance Outdoors in Ohio, let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more on the Gun Show Loophole tour. Thanks for watching.
That's
So that's
awesome.
right in the middle of Ohio,
Freaking huge.
isn't it? And it's crazy. And it's neat that it's just like a mom and pop, just mom and pop, very successful mom and pop.
Yeah.
And I don't think of Ohio as being a big hunting area. I guess it makes sense. I guess I don't think of it. There's not enough trees there. At least I don't think.
Yeah, it makes it easier to hunt, though.
I guess so. All right. So that was our gun shop of the day. Got lots of them on the way. It was just doing another 5 of them earlier today. So we still got at least a dozen more from the tour, and we're racking up more. So yeah, that part's working out real well. Hopefully we'll be adding the 360 part to it, and that'll make it even neater, because then we can just take basically one snapshot and just scroll around endlessly, zooming in and looking at all their stuff, all their goodies. All right, so what's Bob saying? Dan was saying, do you have room for one more? I don't know if he's talking about on the
Yeah, I think he's asking Cycle Camp about going to some show or something.
So we'll move to, I don't know, do we want to do the gun of the day or the movie of the day, or? Oh, you know why we're doing this gun of the day?
Yeah, I do. It's the Maxim machine gun, because it's basically the first recoil-operated machine gun in 1883.
But you know why we're doing that one today? Why we're doing that one today?
Well, I know, and we'll talk about that when we get to the history part. But you think about this: 1883. Most people are using muzzle loaders, And this guy's got to invent a machine gun that will just spit out bullets like a garden hose. And with the water cooled jacket and stuff, it literally would just go and go and go and go. Right? You just feed belts through it. Like it was just it revolutionized warfare in an awful, awful way. It industrialized it.
Mm-hmm.
It now became why World War I was such a slaughterhouse.
Did you shoot any of the dudes in at Big Sandy? Was he up there with them? Well, he always had them.
Yeah, I saw Maxims at Big Sandy. Yeah.
Well, that friend of mine, he had two of them, and he had one on a little cart, and then the other one, and that was his favorite gun to shoot. He had a couple of mod deuces, and he had tons of AKs and other stuff that he'd bring up there, but he'd just be sitting there all day shooting his Maxims. He loved them.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite.
Well, I just love because back then they made guns with brass and stuff, so everything's all shiny and they're just cool looking guns, and they were so revolutionary. I mean, it just changed the world.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that's our gun of the day, and the reason Bob did that is the gun of the day is
Maxim's birthday is today.
yeah, he was born today. At least the guy who calls himself Hiram Maxim, because we don't know when he teleported over to the place to make it or whatever, what the other guy's birthday is. But this is what he says his birthday is.
Right.
Yeah, he was originally an Italian guy.
Was that what it was? He was Italian and teleported into England?
Yeah. His kid watched him walk into like a little cabinet and he never saw him again. And then all of a sudden Maxim was around. Yeah. That's interesting though, right? Like he's got 19 in the early 1800s or late 1800s, early 1900s. He has to be like one of the first conspiracy theories, ain't it?
That's
Heck no. Oh, no.
Original
There's
one?
been conspiracy theories since there were people.
Well, one of the oldest then at least,
Maybe the oldest ones we've got that are commonly recorded. But yeah, there's conspiracy theories from Egyptian times and stuff. Just to rain on your parade, but I know what you mean.
Whatever.
Yeah, the oldest cool one, though.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else happened today in history. You know what sucks is I don't get up early enough to listen to the early watch when you guys talk about this, because I usually just steal it from whenever Pondery talks about it.
Oh yeah, he's good for the history stuff, yeah. I don't know what happened today. He was off his game.
1964, Paris and London agree to build a tunnel.
All right, the channel.
That took a long time. Oh, you know who was also born today? Who else was born today in 1911? Famous American, born in 1911.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Nope. 1911. You think he's 106, 7 years old?
Kind of looks like it, right?
Well, Bob Marley was born today, but it's not Bob Marley because he was born in 1945.
Well, yeah, he
He was a famous actor. He acted with a monkey. 1911. Famous actor.
Ronald Reagan.
40th president of the United States.
Yeah, my favorite actor who ever acted with a monkey.
All right. So that was our gun of the day and a little bit of gun history. And we've talked about everything else, I think. So we can talk about our movie of the day. Every day we try to come up with a movie that has something to do with a gun. I haven't seen this one, so I'm not going to be able to say much about it. Hobo with a shotgun. Have you guys seen it?
That doesn't even sound real to me.
It's on like Netflix or something, or Amazon.
Like is that a modern movie or is that like a black and white old timey movie?
It's not
Hobo
terribly old.
It's who is this? Rutger Hauer?
Yeah.
Oh, so like 80s, 90s?
No,
Wow.
2011, dude.
That's what I said.
Oh,
It's
really?
not that old.
Like an independent from 2011. A vigilante blows away crooked cops, pedophile Santas, and other scumbags with his trusty pump-action shotgun.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah, it was kind of an indie. Yeah, it was an indie movie that just blew up.
Oh, you know why it's on here? Look what it says. Hobo with a Shotgun is a 2011 Canadian satirical black comedy action thriller.
All makes sense now.
Canadian.
There we go. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
So
I wonder, does that movie have any hot springs in it? I bet you. I'll bet $5 it does.
There's got to be hot springs in it. It's got a 6.1 out of 10, and none of us have seen it, so it's like the worst movie for us to review. So we'll see if anybody else.
I've seen it. It's a good. It's good. It's gory and it's low budget, so I would give it a thumbs up, a solid thumbs up.
So that means
I'm interested in it because I thought Rutger Howard was dead, so I would check it out.
is it like go out of your way to watch it because it's good, or wow, Jimmy wasn't kidding. He's going to watch it right now, or just watch it if it's in front of you, kind of thing.
I would actually, if I was bored, I would look it up. I would go look for it.
Okay.
You know, if I didn't have anything else to watch, and you know, just didn't have any other movie in mind to watch, and thought, I just want to try something different, because it, like I say, it's an indie film. It's a low budget, but it is quite interesting and it's really entertaining. I mean, it's a little gory, but you know, because it's shot good.
Lockjaw is saying it's an homage to B movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
I could get with that then. I like B movies, so okay.
All right, well, I'll check it out. I figured it was either really lame or awesome, and I didn't hear anybody talk about it, so I guess I was figuring it was really lame.
It definitely looks interesting.
All right, so that's the whole point of that segment, is to let people know about a show they have not seen in a while or not seen ever. So now you have something to think about. And I guess that's it. So that was episode 501. If you look underneath your chairs, you have a pair of jeans down there. You're welcome.
Well, I just wanted to add in real quick too before we wrap it up that there may have
windbreakers, like one of them denim windbreakers.
No, that's ridiculous. But what I wanted to say, is that there may have been other conspiracies before Maxim, but none of them sounded like this. Yeah, trying to find different ways to finagle that thing in there, weasel it in there. You guys know what that sound means. Time to crack them knuckles, whip out them keyboards. It's time for the daily tactical pop quiz. It's Monday, so we are gonna stick with the program a little bit and get historic on ya. What sport or activity, whatever word you want to throw in there, was the punt gun originally designed for? What was the punt gun originally designed for?
This is a trick question because of yesterday.
Oh, dead horse got it. Dead horse.
He got it so fast, Bob couldn't even inhale his whole bong.
That was my vaporizer. I'm trying to smoke and I'm vaporizing menthol stuff.
He made Bob Bogart his bong.
Yeah. But yeah, it was dead horse. He got it first. And I think it looks like RL Shure on the YouTube was just a second or two behind. I don't even know if it was a full second. But yeah, dead horse definitely was on there first. So yeah.
Cool. Congrats, dead horse. And the answer was duck hunting for anybody out there not in the know.
But
as many duck as possible.
I don't think you can really call a punt gun sporting use, though. It was basically a cannon that shot out and killed 100 birds at a time.
What if you said 42 duck hunting?
I don't know.
Yep.
Wouldn't work well. But anyway, congrats though, dead horse. I'm not going to do it, Bob.
Make Clover do it.
Yeah, Clover. I never heard Clover do it before.
I don't think Clover could do it. He's too short.
I'm too short. I'm too quiet.
Yeah. All right. That I guess dead horse. That makes you the tactical hot shot of the day.
See, I never could get that loud.
Yeah, well, it's not easy.
Oh, you know what? We still got the dead website because we killed the website last week. So eventually you'll have a thing you can go back and click a thing and type in an address or whatever. And then in 500 episodes, we're sending stuff out.
Yep.
Every 500 episodes, that's our new pace. Actually, thanks everybody for supporting us over on the Patreon. It costs like $60. It turns out those boxes aren't $7 to ship; they're $10 to ship. But we planned on budgeting that anyway because of your contributions. So thanks for that.
Postage is ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought I had figured out a scam. I saw something on a YouTube video where you get these like square cube boxes for putting hats in. Basically, you fold the hat backwards on itself.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It doesn't kill a hat, right? And this guy on the YouTube said, "Oh, this is a scam because it costs the same as shipping the bulk or the flat rate large bag, the padded bag. Where if you put a hat in that, normally, I mean, it'll fit in there, but it'll ruin the hat, right? Smush it." So anyway, yeah, they were $10 instead of $7 or whatever. But anyway, no big deal. And we got a few more. And even though Clover stole the NRA shirt, I still got a couple of Gun Channel shirts that I don't know if you guys didn't take them or what, but I had grabbed bunch of Gun Channel shirts.
Okay, here's the story with the NRA shirt. I have your knife. I admitted to that. The NRA shirt I do not have. I don't know where it vanished out of the hotel room or out of my bag the day. I don't know. I don't got a clue where that shirt is at.
Well, we already know who the other person was in that room, so he's basically saying Ghost stole it.
I would be interesting to hear if it ended up in his stuff. Yes.
All of a sudden, he's just wearing it around. Like, what are you talking about? What shirt? What are you talking about?
The only thing I can think of is my phone charger was missing too. As I opened my backpack up in the media room and was rappelling through it or something, and maybe those two things fell out, and I left them laying on the floor somewhere. I don't know. It's a mystery.
Well, regardless, I do have a couple. Like I say, the guys from Forge from Freedom sent me a bunch of Gun Channel shirts because we're going to be eventually, sometime, we'll have Gun Channel shirts on Forge for Freedom. They do exist. I'm wearing one right now, and I gave them to Smeggy and whoever else. But anyway, I still have two left. I think in a large and extra large, or else two larges. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll be putting those in boxes with some other swag and whatnot. And yeah, so there's a reason to listen to these tactical pop quizzes after all. We're getting back on the swing. And whenever we do the tour this year, we'll figure it all out where the stuff will be staged or set with our people that send stuff out. So we'll be able to keep stuff going, while we're on the road and everything.
Right.
Okay, so I think that kills the show. That's 501. We'll be back tomorrow with episode 502. Same time, midnight Eastern. We're going to be talking about keeping optimistic and on point. This is going to be an important thing this year. It's easy to win. Anybody can win. It's easy to fight when there's a fight, but you have to fight, right? But how do we keep a smile on our face and keep people motivated to start some pushing in the opposite direction? And this is, a good scenario for it, this time frame in the world. So we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. We will talk about the state of Colorado, all the normal stuff we do on a regular day. And we'll imagine something will happen between now and then.
Yeah, actually Tuesday's still a pretty busy day. We're going to have the early watch tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern in the morning. Then a lobby, Nice has been starting them up lately, and I'm sure that there'll be lobbies sprinkled throughout the day over on gunchannels.com. So if you ain't a member over there, come on and check it out. Then we are dipping our toes in the prime time area. Outlaw Hatfield is coming on 6 p.m. Eastern. Then you get a little hour intermission, and Tactical Tuesday with Ghost Tacticals coming on at 8 Eastern. Then Hit or Miss at 9 p.m. Eastern with Night Strike and Smeggy. And then Big Gunner 81 at 10 Eastern. And then, of course, like G-Webs was saying, wrap your night up right with the Daily Gun Show. And that's all we got.
It's like all those other shows probably put a real bad taste in your mouth, real sour, kind of medicine-y taste, kind of bad for you, even something's wrong. Take our show, it's like a nice cup of warm hot chocolate. Soothing and sweet. Go to bed pleasant. Nice.
A hot toddy. For those who aren't children and need to drink hot chocolate. Let's end this with our quote, shall we? Today's quote is by Hilaire Belonc. He is
Gesundheit.
yeah. Well, anyway,
Oh,
he was
Jesus.
a writer in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and wrote a bunch of books. But one of his quotes, which is why it's in here, is during what was that book called? The Groom. Anyway, whatever happens, we have got the Maxim, and they have not. So it's always an advantage to have a Maxim, and you got to realize if the guy was writing in 1895, 1900, that was a big advantage. So thanks everybody for watching and listening. If you can, support us on Patreon. If you can't, at least like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
Buy things from gearwebsites.com.